Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Reading from Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, text number 36. Abhichit asi pabhavya. Abhichit asi pabhavya. Sarvevya papa kritama. Sarveya papa kritama. Sarvam jana palavein naiva. Sarvam jana palave bhavenena. Vijinam satarishyati. Vijinam satarishyati. Word for word. Api, even. Chit, if. Asi, you are. Pabhavya, of sinners. Sarvebhaya, of all. Papakritamaha, the greatest sinner. Sarvam, all such reactions. Jnana, Lalavena, by the boat of transcendental knowledge. Eva, certainly. Virginam, the ocean of miseries. Satarishasi, you will cross completely. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. Purport. Proper understanding of one's constitutional position in relation to Krishna is so nice that it can at once lift one from the struggle for existence which goes on in the ocean of nescience. This material world is sometimes regarded as an ocean of nescience, and sometimes as a blazing fire. In the ocean, however expert a swimmer may be, the struggle for existence is very severe. If someone comes forward and lifts the struggling swimmer from the ocean, he is the greatest savior. Perfect knowledge received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the path of liberation. The boat of Krishna consciousness is very simple, but at the same time most sublime. I'll read text number 7. As the blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. Purport. Perfect knowledge of self and super self, of the relationship, is compared herein to fire. This fire not only burns up all reaction to impious activities, but also all reaction to pious activities, turning them to ashes. There are many stages of reaction. Reactions in the making, reactions fructifying, reactions already achieved, and reactions a priori. But knowledge of the constituted position of the living entity burns everything to ashes. Once in complete knowledge, all reactions, both priori and post priori, are consumed. In the Veda Brahma Anarkya Upanishad 4.422, it is stated, Ubhaya Vavisha Ete Turanti Amrita Sadhu Asaduni. One overcomes both the pious and impious reactions of work. Omarganachandasya Janajana Sakaya Sakshamitam Jena Tasme Shri Gurve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sapitam Jena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Tanti Swapatantikam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. Even if you're considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you'll be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. This chapter is called Transcendental Knowledge, and this section, verses 34 to 42, are a summary of transcendental knowledge. The chapter itself says transcendental knowledge, the spiritual knowledge of the soul, of God, and their relationship, is both purifying and liberating. Such knowledge is the fruit of selfless devotional action. The Lord explains the remote history of the Gita, the purpose and significance of his periodic descent to the material world, and the necessity of approaching a guru, a realized teacher. So in Bhagavad-Gita 9:30, a similar verse, 9:30. No problem? Sound you can hear? Here we are, Pichuracharo. There's another verse in the Bhagavad Gita. "9:30. Apichit Duracharo Bhajate Mam Anabak Saddur Eva Sa Matavya Samyag Ya Vishtatito Isaha." Anyone commits the most abominable action, if he's engaged in devotional service, is considered saintly because he's properly situated in his determination. So here it says he's one of the most sinful of all sinners. But both these verses are talking about people who were sinful but gave up, becoming sinful. Example of that is Jai and Vijay, or what were their names? Lord Chaitanya, Jagai and Madai. Jagai and Madai. So Jagai and Madai were so sinful that when Yamaraj asked his scribes to write down their sins, he had 1,000 scribes. After 1 month, trying to write down all their sins, they said it's an impossible task, we can't do it. We quit. They said their hand became fatigued, they said we quit. We can't write down all their sins. So, no one could be more sinful than that. But, because they got the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, then they were purified of their sins. And when they surrendered to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya had them promise that from this day on, do not commit sinful activities again. So that verse and this verse is talking about people who were sinful but have become sinless or given up their sinful activities. So Arjuna could not be free from sin by fleeing the battlefield. He still had to fight, but his fight, he was asked to fight by Krishna, and because it was service, devotional service, then there was not going to be any reaction. So the material world is considered an ocean of nations. And to get out of that ocean is not possible by one's own endeavor. If you're trying to swim across the ocean, and at one point you will become tired and be struggling to survive. So if someone comes along with a boat and picks you up, then you'll get saved. Otherwise, you'll drown. So there's the boat, which is a boat, and the captain of the boat is the spiritual master. And that boat is able to cross the ocean of material nations by the favorable breezes of the Vedas. So if one gets on the boat and stays on the boat, then he can cross the ocean of nations. But if one gets on the boat and changes his mind, and he gets off the boat, then he'll not be saved. You can't get off the boat or you'll drown. So sometimes people come to Krishna consciousness, and for some reason or another, they leave Krishna consciousness. So they boarded the boat to get out of nations, to get out of ignorance, to get out of the material world. But then, because Maya is so strong that she can pull anyone away. Daivi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Dhiratyayam. Despite the transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna, the meaning, even if one is engaged in devotional service to the Lord, is sometimes found engaged in Brahma activities. No. Therefore, a person situated in Krishna consciousness is engaged in determination chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. There are warnings to the non-devotees that because of an accidental fall down, a devotee should not be derided, it should still be considered saintly. And the word Matyabaha are still more emphatic. So it says that because one should not misunderstand that devotee transcendental service can act in any kind of abominable way. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against the illusory energy. As one is long and not strong enough to fight the illusory energy, there may be accidental fall down. But when one is strong enough, he is no longer subject to such fall down. So, the material energy is so strong that even when Lord Chaitanya was touring South India, its servant, Krishnadas, was allured by some gypsy women. And Lord Chaitanya is omniscient, omnipotent, he could understand what was going on. But he didn't interfere. And Krishnadas was allured by gypsy women who know how to control people's minds. So as Krishnadas left the associate Lord Chaitanya in the early morning hours, he went to the camp of these gypsies. So Lord Chaitanya had to go there and pull him out by his hair and bring him back. So one may ask why Lord Chaitanya allowed his servant to do such a thing. And the answer is given in the purport, because of misuse of his independence. So we have independence to choose or not to choose whether we want to serve Krishna or not serve Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya kept his servant with him throughout his South Indian tour. But he went back to Jagannath Puri and he rejected him. But the devotees are more kind than the Lord. They still kept him in Krishna consciousness, kept him engaged in the Lord's service. So here we're talking about transcendental knowledge. Tadvidi paripatena paripasena sevaya upayakshanti te gyanasta darshanaha. If one cannot get transcendental knowledge, Sattvaman, unless one approaches a bona fide spiritual master who's in the parampara system and who can impart knowledge unto the disciple. But it's a question of the condition of the heart. It says in Nectar of Devotion, Ta Shri Krishna Namadi Namavedin Indriyani Seva Mukha Hi Jivado Swayam Eva Sparantiyada. Because Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes are on the absolute platform, material senses cannot therefore appreciate them. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. Diksha is the process by which one can awaken his transcendental knowledge and bank all reactions caused by sinful activities. A person expert in the study of the revealed scriptures knows this process as Diksha. Lord Chaitanya said, let me take shelter of the Supreme Personality God, Sri Krishna, who is descended in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to teach real knowledge. His devotional service and detachment from whatever does not foster Krishna consciousness. He is descended because he is an ocean of transcendental mercy, and we surrender unto his lotus feet. So this is what question is raised in the Krishna book, story of the personified Vedas, that Krishna's name is transcendental, spiritual, and how can one chant with material tongue, material senses? So the answer is that we can't. We can only, the parrot can also chant Hare Krishna, but when the hunter comes to kill him, he goes ka ka ka. But the senses, if they're purified, that's why Chaitodarpana Marjanam Mahadevagni Nirapanam, that by chanting the holy name purifies the heart, purifies the senses. So a gradual process. The senses have become purified. Then we can chant the holy name. Without purified senses, then we're chanting the syllables Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, but we're not actually chanting the holy name. This is called Nama Parad. We're chanting, but we're not understanding that Krishna is dancing on our tongue, and that Krishna and Krishna's name are identical. So one chants Nama Parad, you can still chant and understand that it's a transcendental sound vibration. So, because it's not material, then we can chant every day 16 rounds. But when we come to the level of Namabhas, then we can understand that Krishna is not different than his name, and ecstatic symptoms will be there. Haridas Thakur says in Harinam Chintamani, if you chant 64 rounds one day, but if you're not feeling ecstatic symptoms, then you still have material desires, you're still attached to the material world, you haven't chanted the pure name. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the chanting is a semblance of the holy name. We're chanting with the offenses, it's a semblance of the holy name. It looks like the holy name, but it's not the pure name. It's contaminated by the modes of material nature. So when it says that the symptoms are there, if one is a pure devotee, he will chant, dance, cry, laugh, just exhibits ecstatic symptoms. He will chant and dance, not caring for outsiders. We saw this in the case Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat. Our devotees were exhibiting ecstatic symptoms because they were pure devotees. They were Nityasiddha, eternal associates of the Lord. In another case, there's Kanista Bhakta, Madhyamadikari, Uttamadikari. Kanista Bhakta doesn't have firm faith, and he does not understand the philosophy so well. The Madhyamadikari, he has love for the Supreme Personality Godhead. He makes friends with the devotees. He avoids the demons and preaches to the innocent. So if one is trying to spread Krishna consciousness, following the instructions of the spiritual master strictly, and trying to spread Krishna consciousness, making plans for spreading Krishna consciousness, then he's considered a very highly qualified devotee. But the Uttama Adhikari, the Madhyama Adhikari may fall down, or may not, but the Uttama Adhikari, one who's seeing Krishna everywhere and everything, and knows that the super souls in everyone's heart, that he is under the influence of Yoga Maya. The Kanista Bhakta may still under the influence of Maya, but the Uttama Adhikari, he's under the influence of Yoga Maya, and therefore, even if he wants to think of something material, he can't. Everything he does is on the spiritual platform. Like Srila Prabhupada, he was always on the spiritual platform. He went around the world 14 times in 12 years. He never got jet lagged. He was on the airplane with Brahmananda somewhere, and the airplane started to go down. The engines failed. And everybody on the plane panicked. They thought they were going to die. Even Brahmananda, everyone was just panicked. And when they got off the airplane, Prabhupada looked at Brahmananda and said, "What was that all about?" But Prabhupada couldn't even understand what was going on. He was so absorbed in Krishna consciousness. He wasn't affected. Prabhupada got in a car accident in Mauritius, but he bruised his knee, got some injury, some bruises. His servants also got some injuries. The next morning, he woke up his servants and said, "Let's go, morning walk." He didn't even want to take rest. If you get in an accident, a car accident, you got to take rest for 3 or 4 days to recuperate. In Prabhupada's case, he just went on. So this is the one who we should take shelter of. The expert swimmer, the captain of the boat, who can save one from the blazing fire, from the ocean of nescience. Everyone in the material world, especially in Kali Yuga, people are so much absorbed in material activities that they can't even understand that there's an alternative to material way of life. So the main business people, most people, is just to fill their belly, satisfy their genitals. And to do this, they're working hard day and night. But they don't understand Ishivashamidam Saram. According to the laws of nature, there's 8,400,000 species of life, and according to laws of nature, every species is provided with its necessities, which includes living beings. The ant gets its 1 grain of sugar, the elephant gets its 100 pounds of whatever it is, sugar cane or plants. But the human being thinks that we have to work in some office or some factory or somewhere to make money to support ourselves. It's an artificial civilization we're living in. People don't understand that nature is providing everything. When Prithu Maharaj became the king, he was churned from the body of King Vena. Vena was a sinful, cruel person. Because he didn't follow the Vedic culture, he was killed by Brahmanas. So they churned the body of Vena because he was a descendant from Dhruva Maharaj, and Prithu Maharaj came out. It was a Shaktivesh incarnation of the Lord. And Prithu Maharaj became the king of the world. So at that time, all the citizens came to Prithu Maharaj and said, "We're starving, we're not getting enough food. Can you do something?" So the reason the people were starving because Mother Earth was withholding all the grains, holding the food stuff, because the people were not performing sacrifice, were not performing religious activities. So the same thing is going on today. They're exploiting the material nature, and very soon this modern civilization will fall apart. There won't be any water, there won't be any oil, everything will collapse because it's artificial. But people don't understand that. The Prophet said you could live a simple life, just have a cow, live on the land. If you need light, you take some castor oil, put it in a lamp, with a rope, with a wick, and you burn it for light. Because electricity is artificial. And because the electricity, they have to have so much oil, they have to have so much technology to keep the electricity going. But even in Vrindavan, they can't keep it going. For most of the world, they can. But soon that will diminish also. So here it says that by this transcendental knowledge, it burns the ashes, like firewood. It burns the ash in reaction of the sinful activities, pious and impious. When King Nariga was on the planet, he gave so many cows in charity as grains of sand on the earth. But he made a slight mistake. He gave some cows to one Brahmin, then he gave some cows to another Brahmin. One cow went back in the same herd that he gave to the second Brahmin, so he gave the same cow twice. And that, if you give something, you're supposed to take it back. Anyway, when he went to Yamaraj said, you can either reap the results of your pious activities or reap the results of your impious activities. So he became a little absent-minded and decided that he would suffer first for his impious activities. So in either case, whether you're pious or impious, you have to remain in the material world. It doesn't get you out of the material world, no matter how pious a person may be. If he goes to heaven, you can go to the heavenly planets, enjoy for so many millions of years, but when your karma runs out, then you have to again come back to Earth planet. Or if you're sinful, you go to hell and suffer, and then you come back again and go through this cycle, repeated birth and death, in 8,400,000 species of life. So the Guru Krishna Prasade by Bhakti Lata Bij. If one takes initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, then he takes the karma of his disciple. It means he doesn't create new karma. He's free from reaction to future karma. He's free from the reaction of any present karma. But the prarabdha karma is still there. Just like when you turn off the fan, it doesn't stop immediately. So one may question why devotees get sick, why devotees suffer so many ways. It's because the prarabdha karma is still there. We're still suffering for the reaction from our this life and past life sinful activities. But if we chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regular principles, no eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, then we're not creating any new karma. So devotees' activities are free from karma. Even though to the materialists, the ordinary eyes of the materialists, they can't understand this. They see our activities being the same as their activities. So we go on book distribution, or we go to collect funds. The people say, why don't you get a job? Why are you out here begging? They can't understand that we're not begging for us. We're begging for Krishna. We're trying to collect for Krishna, give people transcendental knowledge, trying to serve Krishna. But people can't see that. They can't appreciate that. We're cooking in the kitchen. We're cleaning the temple. We're doing everything that they're doing, but it's different. Whatever their materialists are doing, they're doing for their sense gratification, and they're getting a reaction. You walk on the street, if you breathe the air, if you grind something in a mixing machine, you're killing living entities. There's a reaction. But for devotees, there's no reaction, even though we're doing the same activities, because we surrender to the Guru and we surrender to Krishna. Then we don't have to suffer reaction. So it says, if you put the fire, burns to ashes, all the karma. That, but it's a gradual process. When Narada Muni was walking in the forest, he left the common path and was walking in the forest. He was seeing animals that were half killed. There was 3 or 4 different animals, a rabbit, a boar, a deer. They were twitching in pain, half killed. So he's wondering who did this. Then he saw he met Magrai the hunter. And Magrai the hunter, he asked Magrai the hunter thought Narada Muni came there to ask for something. So he said, well, I got so many different kinds of skins from animals, I can give you something. And Narada Muni said, no, I've not come to ask you something. I have only one thing to ask from you. If you're a hunter and you're killing animals, why don't you kill them completely? And Magrai the hunter said, no, my father taught me this. I get great pleasure in half killing these animals. But then Narada Muni explained to him how you're going to have to suffer a sinful reaction for these activities. And he showed him the animals that he half killed, how they'll come back and kill him in his next life. So then Narada Muni, he surrendered to Narada Muni, but Narada Muni said, first you have to throw away your bow and arrow. But then he said, well, how will I maintain myself if I don't keep my bow and arrow? So Narada Muni said, don't worry, I'll maintain you. So he threw away his bow and arrow, surrendered to Narada Muni. Then Narada Muni told him and his wife, you just take one cloth. You give away all your possessions, just keep one cloth, build a hut on the river, plant a tulsi tree in front of the hut, and chant Hare Krishna, chant the holy name, 24 hours a day. So the hunter did that, and this is called Kripasiddha, because he didn't have to practice Krishna consciousness for a long time. He got the mercy of Narada Muni, so he can immediately become a devotee. When all the village people understood that the hunter had become a devotee, they were bringing him food. So when Narada Muni went back to see his friend, the hunter, to see what he was doing, the hunter went to pay obeisances to Narada Muni, but he was jumping up and down. So Narada Muni asked him, why are you jumping up and down? He said, because I didn't want to step on an ant. So here's a cruel, vicious person who's half killing animals as a livelihood. And because he got the mercy of Narada Muni and became purified, he wasn't even willing to kill an ant. And then he told Narada Muni, but you're sending me too much. We only need it. There's only 2 of us, me, him, and his wife. We only need so much. Don't send so much. So he only accepted what he ever got that day, and he didn't keep anything for the next day. So Prabhupada wrote in the purport that we should, as a rule, not keep any prasadam for the next day. We should just simply depend on Krishna. Of course, if you're a householder, family man, you may have to, you can't follow that strictly if you have children. But for sannyasis, brahmacharis, they can follow that more or less. To just simply depend on Krishna for our maintenance. We know that Madhavinda Puri never asked for prasadam. Whatever came his way, he would ask, take that. If nothing came, he would fast. So this is completely dependent on Krishna. But we can't do that artificially. If one takes sannyas, there's 4 orders of sannyas. One is Kudichak, Baudak, Paravakacharya, and Paramahansa. So the first order is Kudichak, one lives outside his village, his family supplies him food. Then the next order is Baudak, one who does Madhukari. He goes from house to house begging for a little food. When he gets enough, he keeps that and he eats that. But he shouldn't save anything for the future, later on in the day or the next day. But even if he doesn't get enough food that day, then he shouldn't starve. He can cook for himself or make arrangements to cook. So, but the Paramahansa or the Paravakacharya, he's the one who travels and preaches all over the world to spread Krishna consciousness. And the 4th order is the Paramahansa. So Prabhupada wrote that when one preaches sufficiently, then he can retire to the holy dham and sit down quietly and do his bhajan. So when one becomes too old to travel and preach, then he can take the Paramahansa platform and just do bhajan. But these things cannot be done artificially. If one is not ready, one devotee went to Mayapur and said, I'm going to chant 64 rounds every day and live in a hut. So they went and told Prabhupada. Then the next thing he said, no, I want to live in a tree. They went and told Prabhupada, said, I want. And Prabhupada said, just see. He said, I want. He still has material desires. He won't last. So after 2 weeks, he left Mayapur. So he couldn't do it artificially. So we can't imitate Haridas Thakur and sit and chant 64 or 300,000 names every day. But we can chant more. So the whole idea of these 2 verses is that transcendental knowledge comes to one who has purified senses, not artificially or not by just studying books, but as a matter of heart. Krishna says, Te sam satyuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam, that I'm in everyone's heart, and he says, to those who worship me with love and devotion, I give the intelligence to come to me. So knowledge means to know the difference between matter and spirit, and the control of both. And intelligence means to see things in the proper perspective. So Krishna gives the devotee transcendental knowledge from within the heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya Kavaye. It says Krishna gave transcendental knowledge, was the first one to give transcendental knowledge to Brahma. When Brahma was sitting on his lotus flower, he didn't know how to create the universe. He knew he was supposed to create the universe, but he didn't know how to do it. So he sat in meditation. He heard the word tapa. He sat in meditation for 100 years of demigods. Then Krishna came, shook his hand, was pleased with his service attitude, and imparted transcendental knowledge to him in the form of the Vedas. So originally there was one Veda, then Vedivyas divided the Vedas into 4. And before Kali Yuga, everyone was Shrutidhar. They could hear one time and remember perfectly. But in Kali Yuga, we have very Manda Sumanda Matayo, bad qualities that were always disturbed, and memory is very short. So Vyasadeva was sent as a literal incarnation of God to compile all the Vedic literatures for the welfare of the general populace. And then, so books can be produced. So Srila Prabhupada understood that the world was devoid of this transcendental knowledge. There were so many universities that you're giving knowledge, but that knowledge is only about material things, how to get a good education, technical knowledge, so how to get a good job. But transcendental knowledge is different. But Prabhupada wanted to make a contribution to humanity. Out of his compassion, he went through so much trouble to go to America. Then he went so much trouble to fulfill the orders. His Guru Maharaj told him to print books. If you ever get money, print books. And he wanted him to preach in the English language. So unfortunately, there were no books to print. Because in India, most of the books are in Hindi or Bengali, and whatever books there were not written by a Buddha or give a Mayavadi interpretation. So when one lady came to Prabhupada in America and said, "Can you recommend the Bhagavad-Gita for me to read?" He said, "No, I can't." Because there's so many Bhagavad-Gita, you go in a bookstore, you see so many Bhagavad-Gitas, maybe 30, 40 different editions or translations of Bhagavad-Gita, but no one knows the real meaning of Bhagavad-Gita. They're given in Mayavadi interpretation, or they speculate, armchair speculator. Prabhupada says, why are they sticking their nose in other people's business? If one does not understand the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, then one should not try to translate it and mislead the people. So Prabhupada knew that, so he wrote his Bhagavad-Gita as it is, to give people the real meaning of Bhagavad-Gita. So Prabhupada gave us Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. These three books, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction. He gave us all these books which are transcendental, and we can understand that something is transcendental. So anything in the material world, you can watch a movie, you can read a book, you can sing a song 1, 2, 3 times, but after that you'll get tired of it. There's something transcendental, you can do it. So that's why we can chant every day Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're chanting the same thing every day, 16 rounds on the beads, kirtan, but we're not getting tired of it because it's transcendental. It's above the modes of material nature. And we can study Prabhupada's books throughout our whole life. One devotee was deathly ill, but he liked to recite Srimad Bhagavatam for 1 hour every day out loud. So he continued to do that even though he was deathly ill, because he transcended the miseries he was feeling. So also, we can study and read Srila Prabhupada's books over and over again and not become tired or not think they're dry literature. But by reading Prabhupada's translation purport, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, we're getting more and more light. We're feeling some special energy there that you won't get by reading any mundane literature. So gradually we're burning to ashes our karma. We're on the boat of transcendental knowledge. So we should stay on the boat. And Prabhupada said in the 8th canto that I gave sannyas to so many people, but I knew they weren't qualified. He gave sannyas to young men, 20 years old, 22 years old. And they didn't even know what sannyas meant. Sannyas means material suicide, no more association with women for the rest of your life. Of course, they couldn't maintain that standard. Sannyas is not simply just a change of dress, but it's a change of heart. And if one's not purified at heart, it should not take sannyas. Give up the association of women is not an easy thing. So many of the sannyasis were changing their ashram. From sannyas they went back to married life. So Prabhupada said that let them change their ashram. Even though he said this is abominable and shameless, that one wants to take sannyas, should not be done. But if they can't control their senses, then let them change their ashram. But they shouldn't give up the fight against Maya. So whether ashram one's in, whether it's a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, or sannyas, one should not give up the fight against Maya. In other words, we should strictly follow the process of Krishna consciousness, strictly follow the morning program, strictly chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 principles, only eat Krishna prasadam. In this way, we'll gradually purify the heart. Even the people coming from the Western world, this process, cleansing the heart, is like cleaning coal. You try to clean coal, all you get is black and more black. So it's a very difficult job. People born in India, at least, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, there was still some piety, people were still following some religious principles. There was separation, men and women didn't go to school together. So many things were followed, which is gradually diminished, almost forgotten nowadays. So they have a better opportunity to take the Krishna consciousness, these people in India, but the rest of the world, from the very childhood, from the very day of birth, the babies given meat to eat, so many sinful activities are there. And the people, that they were distributing Prabhupada's books in the airport, they went to Prabhupada and said, they're throwing your books in the garbage. Prabhupada said, that's not surprising. They're throwing their babies in the garbage also. So people become so degraded. So the process of Krishna consciousness is to purify the living and purify the conditioned souls on a gradual process, so that we'll come to the transcendental platform. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatmana Sushitina Kanchati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Ma Bhaktim Labhate Param. This is what is being talked about here, how to come to the transcendental platform and how to cross the ocean of nescience. So it says, in this world there's nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. One who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. Alright, Srila Prabhupada ki, Antaraj Bhagavad-Gita ki.